3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
That World Fleet rundown. What time are you guys on? I think
Are we doing half-time stuff?
Yeah, I got the half-time stuff somewhere. Well, so much has been said and written about the tiny nation of Qatar in recent months in the wake of FIFA's decision to award the World Cup to the Arab world. And there is no doubt the world will be watching this Asian Cup with real interest. So the burden falls on the players to do their part on the pitch. And despite mixed recent form, Al Nabi, the Maroons, will be expected to get out of this group at least. And that's something they've only managed to do once. They will have the backing of a vocal crowd, though. A sellout at the Khalifa Stadium, which was the scene of their greatest triumph at the 2006 Asian Games, in the shadow of the giant Aspire Tower, a symbol of Qatar's ambitions on the world sporting stage, and surrounded by an impressive training complex too. The team's about to be introduced to the dignitaries, including the Emir of Qatar. The Uzbekistan sides shaking hands first. They are, of course, supposedly the fall guys in tonight's script, but they are rugged and wily competitors on the regional stage. Having reached the quarterfinals on their last two Asian Cup outings, they will be competitive, not only tonight, but in the evenly matched Group A as a whole, which, of course, also includes Kuwait and China. There is Mohammed bin Hammam, the president of the Asian Football Confederation, and of course a Qatari by birth. He's just been re-elected for a third term unopposed as the head of the regional confederation. And of course a lot of his work done behind the scenes was so instrumental in getting the World Cup in 2022 to this country. A lot of people feel it shouldn't be here, but I have to say, if the opening ceremony is anything to go by, and the world is in for a treat. An absolutely fabulous presentation. And now we'll have a slight pause for the two national anthems. So a hearty rendition of the two national anthems at a sold-out Khalifa Stadium. The 15th Asian Cup about to get underway here in Doha, the Qatari capital. And expectations high amongst the locals that Al Anabi will get out of the group phase at least. This is the starting 11 selected by coach Bruno Metsu. The injury concern over captain Yusuf Ahmed has proved too great. He's on the bench, but still plenty of attacking flair. Sebastian Soria, of course, the undoubted star. Hussein Yasser, though, has experience of playing in Europe and now with the African giants Zamalek in Egypt. And the naturalized Brazilian Fabio Cesar is the playmaker. All our officials tonight are from Japan. One of Asia's most experienced referees, Yuichi Nishimura, is the man in the middle. He refereed the recent Asian Champions League final between Songnam of South Korea and Zobahan of Iran. His two assistants, Toru Sajara and Toshiyuki Naji. And the toss being conducted with the two captains, Bilal Mohammed of Qatar and the exciting talent of Serbat Japarov of Uzbekistan. Now this is the Uzbek starting lineup. They've got injury concerns too, particularly in defence, where Yaroslav Krushelnitsky and Vitaly Denisov are both ruled out of the tournament through injury. So midfielder Odil Akhmedov will drop back to cover the central defensive berth, and veteran Viktor Karpenko also starts. Again, the quality is in attack. Maxim Shatskik, over 100 goals for Dynamo Kiev, and Alexander Gainrich is looking to score for a third successive Asian Cup finals. Bruno Metsu, an impressive track record at club and international level, took Senegal to the quarterfinals of the World Cup in 2002. They were African Cup of Nations runners-up in the same year, and he's also won the Asian Champions League in the United Arab Emirates with Al Ain. And there is Vadim Abramov. He has a tough act to follow in the former Asian Coach of the Year, Rauf Iniliev. And Uzbekistan have won just 1 out of 8 internationals in 2010. But they are always strong on the regional stage. This, though, a big test really for both sides. All the pressure on Qatar, being the host nation, opening up the tournament. And Uzbekistan, as ever, expected to go deep into the competition. Only Japan have won as a host nation since 1980. That was back in 1992. And Qatar haven't won an Asian Cup game in 23 years. So that's the size of the task facing them this evening. So the 15th Asian Cup is underway. 16 nations, 32 games over 22 days to find the champion of Asia. And all the pressure on Qatar tonight. I'm Simon Hill, and with me is Andy Harper. Great to be here, Harps, and we've had a fantastic opening ceremony as well.
What a pleasure, Simon. And you're quite right. We've been privileged over the years to be at opening ceremonies for football tournaments, the last of which, of course, was the World Cup in South Africa. And that certainly caught the eye. But I tell you what, the opening ceremony here in Doha didn't lose anything by comparison. It was a stunning piece of work. Pyrotechnics, light show, plenty of colour, noise and movement. It was an outstanding start off the field, and now let's hope the football delivers. I'm expecting an exciting tournament. The conditions climactically are special for football.
Yep, it's a very mild evening, and the pitch looks in perfect condition, as you would expect at the outset of a new tournament. Real buzz of anticipation around Doha today. Huge queues of traffic to get inside the Khalifa Stadium, and a sensational light and fireworks show to really whet the appetite ahead of this Asian Cup competition. And here is the Qatari captain, Bilal Mohammed, taking over the armband from the injured Yusuf Ahmed, who is on the bench but has got a wrist problem. And Bruno Metsu obviously feeling he is not worth the gamble. And if you were a betting man, Andy, who would your money be on tonight?
Well, it's a really tough one to call. First came into contact with the Uzbek national team 4 years ago in the Asian Cup, and they really caught the eye. Didn't really deliver in the last World Cup qualifying campaign, through which they showed some sort of vulnerability, particularly against Qatar, losing 3-0 here in Doha. That was quite a capitulation. But I think they've probably got too much football pedigree across the field. The thing that goes against them, of course, is the home ground advantage and the massive expectation that does go with Qatar now. It's only a month ago that they were awarded the 2022 hosting rights by FIFA, and there is a huge buzz around Doha on that basis. locals will be hoping that translates into the national team's fortunes. They've got some very good players. And their hopes, you would imagine, are going to rest rather heavily on Sebastian, the Uruguayan naturalised striker, superb footballer.
Talking of FIFA, the president, Sepp Blatter, is here. Might have read his comments over the last 24 hours about the possibility of hosting that 2022 World Cup in the winter months. Well, if it is staged at this time of year, then conditions will be absolutely perfect. It's been a slow start pretty much on the park. It's both teams just filling each other out. Bound to be a few nerves on opening night, particularly for the hosts, for whom Ibrahim Majed is in possession here. Touched by Sebastian Soria. Now a bit of a chance perhaps for Fabio Cesar if he can keep the ball in play, which he does, and earns Al Anabi a throw-in.
Well, it was an attack that never quite got going for Qatar. It was a situation where the field opened up. They've got a very aggressive formation here to start the game. No surprise in that, I guess. Virtually playing with three up front. Hussein Yasser, Sebastian and Jarala. The ball just didn't get forward quick enough, and they did have space to exploit.
They've got more space here now. An error in midfield by Server Japarov, and Sebastian Soria is on the ball, and that's a very timely challenge indeed by Hyderov. Sloppy work in the centre of the field by Uzbekistan. Really, you can't afford to give Sebastian Soria that sort of room, because he will punish you. Uruguayan born, 57 caps now for his country and 22 goals. And he's also in fine form in the domestic championship as well, with 7 strikes for his club side, Qatar Sports Club. So if he's in the mood, Uzbekistan may pay. That's a good ball by Ibrahim Al-Ghanim. Qatar looking to motor again. Chance on the far post for Fabio Cesar, but he's put it wide.
Well, there's another incisive counter-attack. Nice ball from the left, but with his right foot from Hussein Yasser. And that was a header from a left-footed playmaker. To be frank, I don't know many left-footers who have a real craft in sending the ball around the field who are that deadly with the head, but Fabio on the back stick really needed to do better. It's a brilliant chance so early in the game.
Well, he scored 9 times for his country in 28 appearances. But as you say, Andy, much more of a creator of goals than a taker of goals. Now, foul by the muscular Qatari midfielder Lawrence, who is naturalised Ghanaian. Gives Uzbekistan a chance to maybe try and set something up of their own. This is Karpenko, who goes long. Now is Japarov onside. Here he is. The linesman was level. Gainrich waits. Alexander Gainrich! Oh, he struck the woodwork. So close for Uzbekistan.
Well, that's not a bad way to reply from what is effectively the visiting team tonight. Offside trap sprung. Japarov away. Gainrich pulled off nicely there. Left the defenders rushing towards their goal. In sync nicely, the Uzbek attack. Gainrich's a dangerous customer. Very dangerous customer. Indeed, thinking back to that World Cup qualifier in Doha, down 1-0 at half-time, where Uzbekistan had the better of the match. Started the second half. Gainrich, one-on-one with the keeper, was brought down by the keeper. Instead of the keeper being sent off, it was Gainrich sent off for some reason. Instead of it being a penalty, he goes again.
They're onside again, Uzbekistan. Qatar pushed out. Gainrich slides it in. Hasanov. And the goalkeeper narrows the angle. Qasim Burhan concedes the corner, but Qatar very nearly conceded again there.
Well, more evidence of the danger of Alexander Gainrich. Just needed to pull that ball back a little more, if not shoot himself. Because once it made its way out to Qasimov, keeper Qasim at 1.92 m, when he leaps and spreads, he's too hard to beat. The angle was too tight. They've dodged another bullet, have Qatar.
2 warning shots across the bows for Al-Anabi. Now they have to defend the corner, which Gainrich will take. Palm clear, but not convincingly by Qasim Burhan. And on the volley from Maxim Shatskik, way off the mark. Well, there's no doubt, Andy, that both these teams' strengths are in attack. Defensively, there are some question marks.
Goalkeeping has been a recurring problem for Qatar. Senegalese-born Qasim. At 1.92 m, as you just said, and when those arms are extended, he's quite an obstacle to beat.
Well, it has the makings already from a neutral's point of view of an encounter that might feature a few goals. Here's Hasanov, who's had one of those opportunities, slightly behind Alexander Gainrich. And away instead comes Wissam Rizk for Qatar.
Defending certainly not Qatar's strong point.
Bruno Metsu, the Michael Bolton lookalike. Maybe he was saying to his defence there, how am I supposed to live without you?
Well, the announcement of Bruno Metsu as coach on the PA as they read out the teams wasn't received overly warmly by the locals. He hasn't had huge success with this team. Since taking over, their qualifying campaign for South Africa 2010 was unimpressive.
Their recent friendly results haven't been too flash either. Lost at home to North Korea, drew with Iran. Although they did beat the reigning African champions Egypt 2-1, which has given them huge confidence going into this tournament. A home defeat by Haiti, no less. Perhaps a little less so. Majed trying to poke the ball through. That's a better ball from Lawrence. Chested down by Hamid Ismail, who loves to get forward down that right flank. And it comes from Majed, but Uzbekistan break it up in midfield through Jeparov, and now it's Alexander Gainrich, and again the free man on the left-hand side is Kasanov. And it was Wissam Rizk who just did enough at the expense of another corner.
Well, he did, but they're opening up the field worryingly at Qatar on that occasion. Ibrahim Majid left his post to try and win the ball in midfield, and if you leave your post when the game's in transition, you have to win the ball. Well, he couldn't deliver. Gainrich was away, and he switched the ball beautifully to Kasanov. His exquisite first touch with his left foot. There was some risk retiring as he needed to, conceding the corner.
Which Alexander Gainrich will take. Server Japarov has come short. The current Uzbekistan Player of the Year waved away. And Qatar have defended that one well. Well, a bright start after a quiet opening couple of minutes. Uzbekistan in particular, with 2, possibly 3 good chances, and Gainrich has grazed the post. Sebastian Soria quickly closed down. Maybe the White Wolves, as they're nicknamed, Andy, have heeded the lesson that they got in those opening few moments of the game. Don't give Sebastian Soria room to manoeuvre. Here he is again. He's managed to touch it through for a teammate, Fabio Cesar. Now Hussein Yasser. Karpenko made the block. Shatskik feeding his captain Japarov. Now Timur Kapadze. Gainrich. Hasanov again is the free man on the left. And they've gone missing in action at the back again. The Qataris born a deflection again off the woodwork into the side netting. Another corner for Uzbekistan, but another roving run down the left-hand side by Hasanov, who is not being picked up at all by the Qataris.
Well, he's been the outstanding player so far. The reason why he's got so much space and freedom is because Qatar's turnovers and possession completely off balance. Because of that, and Uzbekistan are looking for direct and early passes straight to the left flank. Hasanov is looking very, very good.
Gainrick's corner. Oh, that was dipping in, you know. Behind by Qasim Burhan. Just about as it was to drop into the net. Well, they've shown their quality already, Uzbekistan. They're not here to be the fall guys. Gainrick on set-piece duty once more. Variation on the theme. Timur Kapadze. Partially blocked and then cleared by Bilal Mohammed. Akhmadov. Men free again here, and Gainrick took it off the toe of Hasanov. But they've really got to get a grip on Hasanov on the left-hand side. He's got far too much room to move. The positioning of the Qatari defence is all over the place. Very fortunate, Andy, not to be behind the host nation.
Well, I think back to 4 years ago. Qatar's opening game was against Japan, who were completely outplayed by Japan. Japan couldn't convert the chances that they created enough at least. The game finished 1-1 because late in the game, Sebastian Soria popped up and stung the Blue Samurai. We're a long way from the finishing tape here, obviously, but Uzbekistan would be well advised to heed that lesson of Japan 4 years ago. They have had some brilliant chances early.
Kapadze. Again, they look for the outlet of Hasanov. No wonder he feels right at home playing here. He does, in fact, play his club football in the Qatari Stars League for Laquia, club formerly known as Al Shorta, here in the Qatari capital. It's all a little quiet around the Khalifa International Stadium, as opposed to the was approaching euphoria as kickoff drew near. Perhaps now they'll find their voices. Sebastian Soria left alone for a moment. Hussein Yasser. Away by Ismailov. Returned with interest by Ibrahim Al-Ghanim. Throw in Uzbekistan. Quarter of an hour played in Doha. Qatar 0, Uzbekistan 0. The opening game of the 15th Asian Cup. "23 years since Qatar hosted this tournament. They lost on the opening night then as well against Iran by 2-0. They will hope to avoid a similar fate here this evening. This is Servej Aparov. Gainrick looking to further menace the Al-Arabi defence, but he commits a foul on Hamid Ismail.
But again, the speed with which Uzbekistan are looking to get the ball in behind Qatar's defence, it's causing the Maroons a whole heap of trouble. Gainrick in the middle of most things. Hasanov down the left, and interesting to see Maxim Shatsky, who scored a bag full of goals for the national team and made his name. He is the pin-up boy of Uzbek football, but as a striker, and he's playing virtually as a winger. He was the man who delivered that last cross for Alexander Gainrick. For Qatar, he's not Naturally a defender who's certainly not as mobile defensively as one might be. And most of the openings for Qatar have come from the centre to left channel. Bruno Metsu surely will be directing his team's traffic down that part of the field. See if you can catch Shatskik asleep.
Well, the home crowd trying to boost their team. Fabio Cesar's delivery. And that's comfortably fielded by Igor Nesterov. Might even be the goalkeeper's first touch. Hussein Yasser, the diminutive attacking midfielder, strikers, was earlier in his career. Uzbekistan have certainly settled down the quicker of the two teams. Shatskik, Timur Kapadze, Server Japarov. Kapadze's ball in. Here's Hasanov, the goalkeeper's missed it. Surely they must score here. And another chance goes becking for Uzbekistan.
Well, they've got them on toast at the moment. They just tee up the defence. They're all over the place. You can see the back four. They're not in sync. They're not moving as a unit. The goalkeeper made a hash of that. Kasem and Hasanov couldn't finish off. Fortunate in the end for both teams. For Uzbekistan to get a corner out of that when they should have scored. And fortunate for Qatar that Bilal, the captain, didn't turn that into his own goal. Dangerous times for Qatar.
Corner taken short. Japarov. Back to the lurking Shatskik and then Kapatze's shots. And the goalkeeper fields at the second attempt. But he's causing a few nervous moments, isn't he?
I tell you what, if I was playing in maroon at the moment, I would have very little confidence in the bloke in between the sticks. A metre 92 he might be. Able to spread himself and block shots one-on-one with players might be a strength, but catching the ball seems a bit difficult for him.
Here's Hussein Yasser, who drives the goal from distance. Nowhere near the target.
Very popular figure, Hussein Yasser. Got a huge cheer when his name was read out over the PA. Father, a professional footballer from Egypt, moved to Qatar, which is where Hussein Yasser was born, hence his Qatari national identity. As you said, Simon, applies his trade now with Al Zamalek in Cairo after transferring from their arch rivals Al Ahly of
Brave
Cairo.
man.
Indeed. Scored in his first match against his old club too. You can imagine he would have needed some sort of security to get out of the stadium that night.
He's had a couple of tries in Europe as well. Played in Portugal with Braga and Boavista. Even had a brief stint at Manchester City without ever really threatening to make the breakthrough. Neatly done by Hamid Ismail. Ismailov wins the header against Sebastian Soria. This is Lawrence, who's just been granted his Qatari passports, born in Ghana. Also starts for Saint-Etienne and Sochaux in France at club level. So a good acquisition for Bruno Metsu's team.
Well, they'll certainly be hoping, the Qataris, that Lawrence becomes their version of Michael Essien, of course, another Ghanaian who forged his rather sensational professional career with Lyon in France.
He's got that sort of build about him, hasn't he? But I'm just not sure whether he's quite as dynamic as an Essien. They'll prove me wrong here, of course. That should be the goalkeepers.
Well, I'm looking for some sort of relative indication as well, Simon, because he's got a very big reputation locally, playing right in the heart of his team's midfield.
Uzbekistan shading ahead the possession stakes. Certainly in terms of opportunities, they've had 4 pretty clear-cut ones, but haven't been able to convert any of them. Will that cost them perhaps? Shatskik is coming back from an offside position and wasn't aware that the flag hadn't been raised. That's why he was sort of loping towards the ball. He was expecting to hear a whistle. Instead, it's Lawrence trying to thread it through for Jarala Almari. They are flashes from Qatar, nothing more. No wonder Metsu is patrolling the edge of the technical zone like a caged tiger. In fairness, Andy, it's been a huge build-up for these Qatari players. They can be perhaps forgiven for being a little nervous on opening night.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a lot that comes with the privilege of hosting a World Cup, which is 10 or 11 years off. What are we now, 2011?
11 years off. Difficult to keep up, isn't it?
It is. Totally lose myself when we go from one year to the next. But, you know, that comes with the privilege of winning those hosting rights. Now the world, as the signage says around Doha, this is the epicenter of world sport now. They're almost boastful about it, and why not? You know, congratulations to them. But there is a price and a premium that comes with that. Expectation is a big part of it.
Mohammed wins a good header against Timur Kapadze. Here is Lawrence. Lawrence Kwai, to give him his full name. Well, he's also been given an Arabic name, Anas Mubarak. Here's that man again. Kasanov free as a bird down the left, exchanging passes with Gainrich. Now Japarov, former Asian Footballer of the Year. He is a player worth paying the admission for alone. Server Japarov, Shots kick, getting involved. Gainrich this time is flagged.
Well, they continue to work that line nicely though. Uzbekistan figures it's only a matter of time. It's clearly offside. An easy decision for the assistant referee. But they're passing the ball nicely. Their finishing hasn't been what it needs to have been. 25 minutes into the opening game, Bruno Metsu comes up for the time being, but he'll know, the Frenchman, that his team could easily be behind on the scoreboard.
Japarov touches it to Gainrich, who is then unceremoniously bundled over by Wissam Rizk. Early free kick. Shots kick's got in behind. Again, they've dragged it wide of the mark. But the ease with which they're getting behind the Qatari defence at times, Andy.
Well, there's three problems in their defence. Firstly, the back four is only a back four nominally. They're not working together at all. In particular, Hamed, the number 2, is pushing too far up on the right-hand side, which is giving Kasanov enormous space to attack. The second problem is that the back four in the midfield, 2 defensive midfielders, Lawrence and Wissam Rizk, are all over the place as well. So not only is there no coordination along the back line, but there's no coordination between the back four and the central 2 midfielders. And Uzbekistan are picking them to pieces. So it's a collective problem and also an individual problem out here on the right with Hamid, who's been beaten again.
Here we go, Hasanov in behind. And it's put behind by Wissam Rizk. And Qatar all at sea once more. He's making that part of the field his own, isn't he?
Well, he glides around the field. He's built close to the ground. Low centre of gravity, fantastic balance and a sweet left foot. A real danger man.
Like the variations on the set pieces too from the Uzbekistanis. Server Japarov. Too high for the defender Ismailov, who'd joined in. Shots kick. Quite on the same wavelength as Kapadze. Bouncing ball, confused the Uzbekistan Uzbekistan defence for a moment, but Hussein Yasser able to profit.
Well, talking about the central two midfielders for Qatar, the one problem that Uzbekistan have had so far is in the same part of the field. Timur Kapadze and Hyderov are playing that dual central role, that anchor. And they haven't been as diligent as they might in this opening half hour. The 2 or 3 chances that have come have been because those guys in particular have lost their way.
Well done, the fullback, Hamid Ismail, has finally won one of those challenges with Hassanov.
But it's been a half where Hamid has had to turn and chase. That's the way he's played this first half, and that's not the way it should be. I mean, if he can't pick that up himself, the coach has to earn his money and give him a quick lesson on how to defend as a right fullback. And he needs, more often than not, to be facing the game, not turning and chasing his opposite number. He's sick of the sight of number 19. It's almost seared into his consciousness.
Another mistake by the Qatari backline, this time Ibrahim Al-Ghanim. Plays for the local club Al-Gharafa. Straight back into the danger zone. He's given the ball away again, albeit briefly. Hassanov. This occasion he's helped out by Wissam Rizek. Hassanov with the throw-in. Another corner for Uzbekistan. Interesting statistics. Uzbekistan have covered more ground. We'll get Andy's expert thoughts on that in a minute. Here's Gunrick, and again they hit the side netting. No cause for alarm on that occasion for Qasim Burhan.
Well, these are interesting corners. They are repeatedly going for the near post. And what's interesting about it, the plan then is for, in this case, Timur Kapadze to head the ball back to the penalty area. But when you cast your eye at the Uzbek lineup from an attacking situation, there's only one player there to receive the flick on.
Back to Hyderov. So we pass the half-hour mark in Doha. Still awaiting the first goal of this Asian Cup. Boy, Uzbekistan have been close on a few occasions. Contrast, just one real chance for Qatar. That came early on via the head of Fabio Cesar. It's been slim picking since for Al-Anabi. Wissam Rizek sliding it out for Ibrahim Majid. No real quality on the delivery. Sepp Blatter watching with the African Confederation President Issa Hayatou. Akhmedov, flicked on by Gainrich, who's been terrific in this first half, as has this man, Hasanov. Trying to get around the fullback. He stuck well to his duty there. Hamid Ismail.
Yeah, he's won one round. And he had to, because he was in that situation again where the spacing behind him was free. Hasanov lurched into it after Gainrich had won the initial possession. Not from that replay. Hamid did well to recover his ground.
Hasanov drifting infield this time. Huge bomb launched into the Uzbekistan penalty area, and Nesterov says, I'll have that. There's a bit of a height differential between he and Hussein Yasser as well, in fairness. And it's no more than hopeful stuff, really, from Qatar. Whereas Uzbekistan's play, a lot more structured. Fairness, a lot better to watch, at least so far.
Well, no doubt about that. Bruno Metzer needs to get Hussein Yasser, needs to get Fabio dropping in to pick up the ball, particularly Hussein Yasser. He's a tricky customer. He's got a good touch. He does like to attack, but if you can't get the ball, there's no point in having him on the field, and he's just stranded out at left wing.
Good strong play by Bilal Mohammed. Terrific run by the defender, and gets the free kick. And a richly deserved round of applause from the home fans too. That was super stuff.
That's a good captain's run, this one. Seeking to stir his teammates towards greater heights. They need something. They've been summarily outplayed in the opening half hour here.
Is that all about to change? Fabio Cesar on the ball. The Brazilian-born playmaker needs to find the right delivery. Some tall timber has been thrown up by Al-Nabi. Linesman's flag has been raised. Not happy with the wall. Being back the required 10 metres. This is Japarov and Kapadze. And now we're ready. Fabio Cesar with the delivery. I think there was Sebastian Soria, I think, who got what he hoped would be a flick on at the near post. It was too off balance to find a teammate. They played him pretty well, Uzbekistan. Qatari's danger man. Burgled of the ball in midfield. Lawrence will slide it out for Jarala Almari. Fighting the run of Hussein Yasser. The near post was Ismailov to deny Sebastian Soria at the expense of another corner.
Well, the danger men linked for Qatar, not before time. Fabio Cesar, he won the ball initially on the left-hand side. Played into Lawrence, who switched it to the right. Jarala finds Hussein Yasser, and all of a sudden Qatar look like a football team. It doesn't take much for a team to ignite itself.
Fabio Cesar on set-piece duty again. Good ball in, Shat's kick is there. Throw in for Qatar. Small building blocks for the home team. After a first half in which they've been on the back foot for the main part. Fabio Cesar starting to get involved a bit more. Majet's cross. Away it goes by Jurev. Just the attempted little sandwich, to use the golfing terminology, by Fabio Cesar. If it was golf, he'd be into the bunker behind. Jarala Almari, one of Qatar's promising young players, still just 22 years of age. Scored a couple of goals in a recent Gulf Cup tournament against Yemen in a 2-1 victory. Good form for his club side, Rayyan as well. 4 goals in 9 games. That's one of the reasons why he's playing tonight. Down goes Sebastian Soria. And Yuichi Nishimura has no doubts that Jurayev committed the foul and no yellow card.
That's a clear foul. It's in a good position for Qatar. We've had the best of the last 5 minutes.
Well, you said that Lawrence might be a Michael Essien doppelganger, Andy. I wonder if he can take a free kick like him.
I'm not sure if doppelgangers or whatever is a swear word, but I'll take it as read, Simon. Let's see what he can deliver. You'd reckon Fabio Cesar would be licking his lips over this one also.
Half-time approaching. Qatar perhaps starting to find their feet. Looks to me as though Lawrence is lining up the haymaker, unless it's a decoy. Here's the first goal at this Asian Cup. Going to go the way of the Arabic nation. Fabio Cesar or Lawrence? Who's it to be? It's Fabio Cesar! And he grazes the post the third time. The ball has come off the woodwork in this game so far, but the first time for the home side.
Well,
it was almost perfect.
Nesterov beaten. It was only the post which was saved Uzbekistan. I don't reckon the keeper had that one covered. It was a beautifully taken, beautifully hit ball from Fabio Cesar. Captain Bilal Mohammed is getting some attention on the sideline. A blood wound set to be seen too, seemingly.
Yep, I think he just got a smack in the mouth at Bilal Mohammed. I think in the first half an hour, Bruno Matsu probably fancied giving all of his defenders a smack in the mouth after their display. But they've held on.
Well, I can only invoke history once again. Completely outplayed with Qatar 4 years ago in their first game against Japan. Ended up salvaging a draw. It's been a very similar opening to this tournament for the hosts. Uzbekistan could very conceivably be 2 or 3 goals to the good. But Qatar have rallied. They've had a couple of good attacks. They've hit the post for the free kick. They'll be feeling much better about themselves now than they did the opening half hour.
Better from Sebastian Soria. Hussein Yasser cut off at the pass by Viktor Karpenko. Vastly experienced defender. Gainrich. He's been a little quieter of late. Qatar have forced their way back into the contest.
We can't believe how this isn't a free kick. I'm with you. It's quite clearly taken out.
Half-time approaching in Doha. Game back more on an even keel. That's a very high boot by Jurayev.
A good refereeing. It's very quick to put the fire blanket on any potential trouble. It's a clear free kick, nothing sinister, just a high boot. And a couple of players reacting.
The defending needed to be sure there from Viktor Karpenko. And in fairness to the goalkeeper, I think he gave him a good strong shout to clear his lines. These two are pretty familiar with each other. Played each other in the final round of World Cup qualifying for South Africa 2010. Qatar won 3-0 at home. Uzbekistan 4-0 back in Tashkent. And they were their only wins in those World Cup qualifying fixtures. Also recently met at the Asian Games, which Uzbekistan won by the only goal. Here's another look at Fabio Cesar's free kick. Well, we know Brazilians can take a free kick. Vadim Abramov would have been disgusted to have seen his side fall behind after spurning so many of the earlier opportunities. Juraev. Down the line for Hasanov. Bilal Mohammed has stepped across to give Hamid Ismail a bit of a helping hand. And goodness knows he needed it in the first 30 minutes, and he's sporting a pretty unflattering piece of tape hanging down from the chin. Looks like he's spilt tomato sauce on his napkin. Hasanov. Felled by Hamid Ismail. Quick free kick taken, and a little bit too hurried really from Uzbekistan's point of view, but they'll get a second go. Infringement on Hasanov. But it's a much more even contest now than it was in the opening half an hour between those two, Hasanov and Hamid Ismail.
Well, I think what Qatar have improved is their pressure on Uzbek players. When the Uzbekis have got anything like possession, there's a much more concerted effort to pressurise the ball. I don't think they've organised themselves structurally the way they need to yet. Qatar, they're still vulnerable down this right-hand side. But they've got players working off the ball and pressurising, which has really turned the game. They were chasing shadows for half an hour. Uzbekistan too much time to receive possession, set up play, make passes, players to time runs and getting behind their opponents. If Metsu's team has achieved anything after half hour, it's to put pressure on the ball, to make sure the Uzbek players can't get their head up and look where they want to deliver the pass.
Credit perhaps should go as well to Vadim Abramov for his tactical nous and the way he set his team up at the start. Having said that, Hasanov has just given the ball away. And I suppose we should count that as a shot from Hamid Ismail. Not sure that was the intention.
Well, here's the field opening up again after that attack. Qatar taking a long time to get...
Kapadze clipped on the ankle. That one hurts for the Uzbekistan midfielder.
Tackle. There was a foul. That ankle's rolled nastily on Timur Kapadze as well. Now, that was a challenge.
He has too.
That needed to be made from Fabio Cesar. Uzbekistan were away. Kapadze will hobble for some time, you'd imagine. That ankle rolled nastily. But he is the man with the name that means iron, Timur Kapadze. He'll need to be made of it to get over that. That one looked like it hurt.
Well, the good news is for him is that the half-time whistle is not too far away. We're into injury time, the end of the first period, just the 1 minute, and we've played 48 seconds as of now of that already. There's a chance opening up here, though, for Qatar to nick the lead, perhaps. Not between them, Juraev and Nesterov sorted out for Uzbekistan, and the chance is gone.
Well, unfortunately, he looked to leave that ball run across him. He needed to maintain the angle of his run and take the ball in his stride, get it on goal. A bit of experience there from Jarala.
So it's goalless at the interval in Doha, but certainly not for the want of trying. 3 times the ball has struck the woodwork, but at the interval it's Qatar 0, Uzbekistan 0 in this Asian Cup opener. Well, there's no question that Uzbekistan started the brighter. The opening half an hour belonged almost exclusively to them, and in particular their flying left winger Jasur Hasanov, who plays his club football here in Qatar. He gave Hamid Ismail an absolutely torrid time. But credit to the Qataris, they weathered the storm, didn't concede, and came back with a couple of good chances of their own, particularly the free kick from Fabio Cesar that struck the outside of the woodwork. Maybe an injury concern for Vadim Abramov to attend to at the interval. Timur Kapadze rolling over on the ankle, but I think overall he can be pretty pleased too with his team's effort and performance in the opening 45 minutes. But the score sheet does not reflect that. Still goalless in Doha, but you do fancy, given the defensive problems experienced in parts by both these teams, that there will be some goals in this game. A packed house at the Khalifa International Stadium. Almost 40,000 here to watch this opening match of the 15th Asian Cup, and they've been treated to some fine attacking football. The opening minutes were pretty even, Stephen. Qatar having a chance through Fabio Cesar, but as you said, Andy Harper, that really was a creative midfielder's header.
A left-footed creative midfielder, please, Simon. Don't forget the finer point. With the greatest of respect to left-footed playmakers, they're as rare as hen's teeth and worth a lot of money, but they don't head typically terribly well. There's a good chance for Qatar. From that point on, though, it was all Uzbekistan, and they really should have taken the lead on more than one occasion. Gainrick hitting the post, very dangerous customer. Kusanov down the left, Maxim Shatskik down the right, the deliverer of that cross there. They've got big names. They have played some of these guys with big clubs, Shatskik in particular with Dynamo Kiev. And it's only because of poor finishing, really, that Uzbekistan didn't take the lead in this very dominant half-hour period through the first half.
Qatar playing a high line. They got caught trying to spring the offside trap on a few occasions, and Hasanov gave the fullback an absolutely torrid time up until the final 10 minutes of the first half, Andy.
Yes, the outstanding player in the first half, but aided and abetted by the poor defending from Hamid. He really didn't look like he knew exactly what his job was. And here he is again, a lot of vacant space. Neither hit the target nor found Gainrick on the far post. And it was the story through that half-hour period where Qatar were being forced to turn and chase into their defensive zone. They managed to fix that by turning the tables on Uzbekistan, pressurising the ball carrier, the man in possession. In the end, they worked their way back into the game and started to force their own chances. Yasser Hussain released there by Jarala. That attack won because Fabio pinched the ball with a good piece of aggressive defensive midfield play, high advanced in the pitch. And from that moment on, it was a bit of the catalyst for Qatar. This was their outstanding moment of the half, really. And Fabio free kick, which rattled the right-hand post of Igor Nestorov. Largely a spectator through the first half, but was nervous and trying to calm his team down. All very easy to say.
Yeah, it's been entertaining stuff in the first 45 minutes. No goals, but 4 shots on target. And pretty well refereed too by Yuichi Nishimura. He's tried to let as much go as he possibly could. 14 fouls in the game, 8 corners, dominated heavily by Uzbekistan, really reflecting the dominance they had for most of this first half. But the stat that matters is that at the interval, it's Qatar 0, Uzbekistan 0, and the second half still to come here in Doha. So no goals in Doha after 45 minutes, but the woodwork has been grazed on 3 occasions. 2 by Uzbekistan, who were pretty impressive throughout that first period, save for the final 10 minutes or so when Qatar finally found their feet. Bilal Mohammed. Kapadze towards the conclusion of that first half. He has lined up along with the rest of his teammates for this second period. Vadim Abramov no doubt will have had him checked thoroughly. And Uzbekistan quarter-finalists in the last 2 Asian Cups really showed their class for the most part. A nervous night for Bruno Metsu's side. So much expectation. So much excitement around Doha in the build-up to this 15th Asian Cup. But maybe just a few signs towards the end of that first half that they were starting to shrug off the nerves. We shall see. We're still awaiting the first goal of this Asian Cup tournament. And it is Uzbekistan who get us back underway at the start of the second half. Kicking from left to right. No changes made by either coach. There are a few options for both Metsu and Abramov, certainly in an attacking sense, but you do get the feeling, Andy Harper, that the goals will eventually come in this game.
It's hard to believe there hasn't been a goal yet. So on that basis, Simon, certainly no surprise that neither team has made any changes at half-time. Metsu will be buoyed by the way his team came back in the last 10 to 15 minutes, much better than their opening half hour, and Uzbekistan for their part were completely dominant for half an hour. And has provided the foundation, which I'm sure Vadim Abramov is looking upon which to build.
Very evenly matched section, this Group A. China and Kuwait, of course, play tomorrow across the city. Really tough to pick which 2 sides are going to go through from this particular group. So important to get off to a winning start, or at least not a losing start. I know it sounds like common sense, but quite often see at World Cups and regional tournaments, teams are happy to play for a point in their opening match. Certainly not been the case here in Doha this evening. Both teams have had good attacking intents, particularly Uzbekistan, determined not to be the whipping boys in front of a partisan home crowd. And here come the White Wolves through Alexander Gainrich, but a trip on his opponent, or in fact a push on Bilal Mohammed. Bit of an arm wrestle between the two. Comes off Hussein Yasser. Uzbekistan throw in. Bruno Metsu barely sits down throughout a game. Some coaches prefer that. Abramov is Opposite number is rather more sedate, although he has wandered out to the edge of his technical zone now. The clearance is by Akhmedov, playing as a makeshift defender tonight in the absence of Yaroslav Krushelnitsky. This is Akhmedov, infield for Japarov. Free kick for Qatar. That was a feature, certainly the opening half an hour, Andy. The crispness of Uzbekistan's passing, certainly in the final third.
Yeah, well, they were given a lot of space and time to make those passes, and they did look good. They were certainly up for it. They didn't capitalise as they needed to. Qatar came back into it well. It's been a stop-start opening to the second stanza. Qatar evidently very, very committed to making sure Uzbekistan don't get into any sort of rhythm, as they did in that first half. A lesson well learned from the hosts.
Uzbekistan have struggled for goals this year in particular, just 11 in their 10 internationals in 2010. Of course, we are at the start of 2011 now. Will they rue some of those missed opportunities? Karpenko forced to check. Across the cover was Ibrahim Majid. Forward by Fabio Cesar. Fighting the willing run of Sebastian Soria. Always a handful, and he battles for the ball. No foul. The goalkeeper struggling. Here's a chance. Hussein Yasser. Oh, he delayed too long, and it's hooked to safety by Jureyev for Uzbekistan. But all created by the physical presence of Sebastian Soria. Uzbekistan want the ball kicked out because they've got a defender down injured. Qatar not interested, and you can understand why. The ball's still not out of play. Everybody stopped, and eventually Hamid Ismail plays the sporting role. But it was Sebastian Soria, just his sheer determination and physical strength that put the goalkeeper in all sorts of trouble.
Oh, good power. Good power from the Uruguayan, and the ball just wouldn't sit for Hussein Yasser. There's a good chance. Excellently worked. Really, that's, as you said, perseverance. But they came with another chance, did Qatar, as this play then opened up down the right-hand side. Hamed slinging in a really nice cross. My first reaction was a handball by Uzbekistan in defence. But that just wouldn't sit for Hussein Yasser. Jureyev with acrobatic clearance.
We should say as well, Andy, well done to the referee. So many times you see those duels between a striker and a goalkeeper, and 8-9 times out of 10, you'll hear a whistle blown for a foul.
Yeah, I could only echo those sentiments. The referee's had a good job, a good game so far. Yuichi Nishimura.
Now, it doesn't look as though Jureyev is going to be able to continue. He went down clutching his right ankle. Pass completion rates and successful passes have been impressive. Whether that's the end of the stanza for him, we shall see. Sebastian Soria is also receiving some treatment on this near touchline. He's in rather better shape to continue.
We just underlined his danger then as well, because he scores good goals. He's got a good technique, but he's also got that very important ingredient of determination and hunger. Because of the way Qatar so often play or are forced to play in football matches, he can be pretty non-existent for large periods of a game, but when the moments come, he switches on. He does it really well.
Uzbekistan cannot afford to switch off here. They're down to 10 for the moment. Now readying a change. Stanislav Andreev is stripped and ready. Teasing cross for Qatar. That time well fielded by Nestedov. Japarov left his teammate a bit short. Shatskik getting involved. This is Hyderov. Karpenko. Cut out by Ibrahim Al-Ghanem. Akhmedov to Gainrich. Shatskik. First time ball. Good football by Uzbekistan. Akhmedov. Gainrich goes for goal, and that was travelling, but off target. And here's the change for the White Wolves. Well, it seemed pretty innocuous, but Juraev is unable to continue. So this is Stanislav Andreev, who plays for one of the big two in Uzbekistan, Pakhtakor. He will slot into the vacancy created by Juraev at left fullback. Meantime, Jalala Almari in possession and looking to test the substitute for the first time. Good pace. Akhmedov came across.
He has got a fair bit of speed. It's a weapon that Qatar would be well advised to try and utilise a bit more.
Ibrahim Majed. Full-blooded drive from all of 35 metres. Blocked by Ismailov. Now Sebastian Soria. Beautiful ball on the turn. Ibrahim Majed and Sebastian Soria completely getting their wires crossed. As Shahab Juraev makes his way on the mobile trolley down the tunnel area. Uzbekistan's next game on the 12th of January against Kuwait. So more defensive problems for Vadim Abramov, already without Vitaly Denisov on that left-hand side. Has now lost his replacement, Shahab Juraev. Ten minutes played in the second half in Doha. Still no goals. Shatskik with the diagonal run. Took it cleanly enough on the volley, but wide.
Well, you fancy the Maxim Shatskik of even 5 years ago would have had that extra half yard to get there that fraction early. Square the volley. I'm sure that was the intent, but he couldn't get there in time to get his foot around the ball. Alexander Gainrich was right there, 2 or 3 yards out from goal, and the squared volley from Shatskik would have meant a tap-in for Gainrich.
He is, as you say, Andy, approaching the veteran stage of his career, 32 now. Still a man of immense quality. Here he is on the ball, losing out to Wissam Rizk. Rather risky back pass. Shatskik, of course, was once famously Andrei Shevchenko's replacement at Dynamo Kiev. Didn't do a bad job either. Nearly 100 goals for the Ukraine Giants. Akhmedov. The substitutes, Andreev. Kapadze. And now Hyderov. Angle too great for Shatskik. Well won back though by Hyderov. He'll continue forward. Gainrich just strayed the wrong side of the line for Uzbekistan.
Very well defended from Bilal Mohammed, Qatar skipper.
Now a chance perhaps for Qatar in the shape of Hussein Yasser. Just didn't have the physical strength to outwit Akhmedov, and instead here come Uzbekistan through the dangerous Hasanov. Goes for goal and forces a fine tip over from Qasim Burhan. Well, he chanced his arm, and why not? He's got a very sweet left peg.
Well, this was an effort very well worth making from Kasanov. It's an excellent save too, because it was dipping and swerving, plenty of pace. Kasem looked the part as he stretched and tipped the ball over the crossbar.
Corner kick already taken. Gainrich. Two defenders now to deal with. Ball pops out for Server Japarov. Square for Hyderov. Akhmedov will go for goal. Oh, what a strike! What a way to score the opening goal of the Asian Cup. Odil Akhmedov for Uzbekistan. A screamer.
Well, Qatar's keeper, Kasem, made a great save to repel Kasanov, but there's nothing he can do to repel Akhmedov's screamer. That's as good as football can get from long distance. It's a brilliant strike to set the Asian Cup of 2011 alight. It stunned the home crowd and it sent Uzbekistan into raptures of joy.
Well, finally, they breached the Qatari rearguards. But it took an absolutely spectacular strike from Odil Akhmedov to break the deadlock. Just shy of the hour mark. And really, on balance, Andy, you'd probably say Uzbekistan deserved their advantage.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Qatar have come back into the equation well after half hour or so. But the lead is where it should be, if there is to be a lead, and that's with Uzbekistan. They've missed some easier chances. They've scored a specky. It's a splendid strike from Akhmedov. And he is playing central defence, but he's a central defender by name only today. He's showing his versatility, in fact. More often than not, he's in the driving seat in midfield,
where he is renowned for his long-range shooting, and we've just seen a very good example as to why. Brilliant stuff from Akhmedov. And the White Wolves in the bear pit of the Khalifa International Stadium have the lead. Now what do Qatar have in response? That will have flattened them. Certainly flattened the crowd.
Well, it was all they could do up until now, really, to keep the Wolves from the door. They have chased down games before. They have had success against Uzbekistan before. And they have played a more fancied opponent opening day of an Asian Cup before and come from behind.
Well, Bruno Metsu is about to make a couple of positive changes. More on that in a moment. He knows that Al Nabi can ill afford to lose the opening game. So here are the changes. Hussein Yasser is going to be replaced by the 2006 Asian Player of the Year, Khalfan Ibrahim. And he's also going to throw Mohamed El Sayed on very shortly. He'll have to wait for the next break in play, though. So positive coaching by Metsu. Here's the second change. Jarala Al-Mari is going to be the man withdrawn. Mohamed El Sayed, who turned 23 on New Year's Day, plays for the Salal club under the coaching of Henk ten Kate. Will get his opportunity. Changes are made. It's the free kick for Uzbekistan to be taken by Alexandra Gainrich. Dug out by Wissam Rizk, but he was bundled off the ball by Gainrich. Hamid Ismail has to be careful. He's turned into trouble. Oh, lovely ball from Gainrich. Uzbekistan starting to threaten again. First touch for the substitute, Khalfan Ibrahim. Now Lawrence. A lovely touch on the ball, Khalfan Ibrahim. It's a blatant foul by Wissam Rizk, and Yuichi Nishimura has issued the first yellow card of this Asian Cup.
It was a lunging tackle from Wissam. Gainrich was away. It's a clear yellow card.
He's had a good game though, hasn't he, Gainrich?
He's a good player. He'll feature heavily in this tournament. If Uzbekistan survive deep into this competition, Alexandra Gainrich will be right amongst it. Don't worry about that.
Well, you could almost hear a pin drop inside the Khalifa International Stadium. It's like a big bubble has been popped. They need to find some rhythm though, and quickly. Here's Shatsky looking to put it beyond all doubts. Ibrahim Majid straight at Viktor Kopenko. Lawrence. For the substitute, Mohamed El Sayed, who miscontrols. Confirmation of the scoreline with a shade over 25 minutes to go. They need to bring Sebastian Soria back into the game, Qatar.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about the changes of Bruno Metsu as we get to enjoy that spectacular effort once again. The goalkeeper can do nothing. It was a valiant effort to save that. But the changes made by Bruno Metsu, they're changes of personnel, they're not changes of system. It's complete swap for swap, position-wise. And how he's going to feed Sebastian Soria remains the big question. And oftentimes, simply swapping player for player without necessarily tweaking where those players are asked to do their business, the team can come up short. Kasanov's been much more quiet in the second half, but still showing dangerous signs. Change time for Uzbekistan now.
It is going to be Hasanov to be replaced by Sanjar Tursunov. Player who plays his club football in Russia for the newly promoted Volga Nizhny Novgorod.
And talking about substitutions, well, Maxim Shatsky has gone from left to right, so Uzbekistan are changing their structure with their substitutions rather than just the people.
Here's Lawrence, chance to drive from long range. Well off the mark.
Timur Kapate is claiming that he copped an elbow in the jaw.
He did.
That was the moment from Sebastian. That's, according to FIFA nowadays, a no-no. Can consider himself fortunate to have gotten away with that. So Tursunov has come onto the right side of midfield for Uzbekistan.
He is a naturally right-sided midfielder.
So Shatsky has gone onto the left. Now, whether Kasanov was injured or it was felt that Shatsky can do some more damage down the left-hand side against Hamid, who's had a torrid time of it tonight. I mean, how's your life when you see off Kasanov, who's giving you a bath, and you breathe some sort of sigh of relief when you see his number go up? Thank goodness for that. And then what happens? Maxim Shastik comes over to take his place. There's no rest for the wicket.
Well, if Hasanov's pace and trickery will give Hamid Ismail some nightmares, then Shatskik's physical strength won't make it any easier for him either.
And his guile. You know, he's the radar that takes him around a football field, which has been refined over many years of top-flight professional play and training and coaching. This will be a night that Hamid Ismail won't forget for quite some time. He's had a really difficult assignment this evening.
Well, Timur Kapadze has been in the wars this evening. Rolled his ankle towards the end of the first period. Now he's off on the cart, departing the same way as his teammate Shahab Jurayev. Vadim Abramov will hope he's back. He's only got one substitute left, the Uzbekistan coach. Mind you, there's only just over 20 minutes to go. And his team look reasonably secure at the moment. Gainrich gains another free kick. Possession stats underlining the White Wolves' superiority. Super ball from Japarov. This is Tursunov, teasing cross. Gainrich was just waiting to pull the trigger. Bilal Mohammed deflecting it clear. Ibrahim Majid with a rather hopeful crossfield ball, but that's all it is really for Qatar.
Well, Bilal Mohammed, the captain, the number 6 in the centre of defence, has been quite clearly Qatar's best player. That was an outstanding header under pressure. Not under pressure because there was an Uzbek player near him, but because of the situation. It was a wonderful 1-2 work down the right-hand side. Tursunov with a nice cross. Gainrich was sweating on it. On or about the 6-yard box. Meat and drink for a striker. But Bilal Mohammed was brilliant by heading the ball clear, and he's been brilliant all night in a team that's found the going more often than not very difficult.
Uzbekistan still down to 10. Kapadze still receiving treatment, but there's room for them here on the left. Andreev. Shatskik an option. Gainrich another in the centre again. Bilal Mohammed was there. Now the chance for a counter for Qatar. Lawrence feeding Mohammed El Sayed. What can he do? That's a beautifully timed tackle by Akhmedov. Majestic. Japarov trying to link up with Shatskik and then Gainrich. Khalfan Ibrahim can't find a way through.
And as much as I've been watching Qatar play, I can't understand why Khalfan Ibrahim doesn't start more regularly. I think he's a wonderful player. He comes on in difficult circumstances very often.
Here's Sebastian Soria. Well, you could see what he was trying to do. Mohammed El Sayed was the option wide right. The execution was less than perfect. But he's trying his best, the Uruguayan-born Sebastian Soria, to inspire his team. Chasing every ball, making every tackle. The sense that Uzbekistan, if they get a second, they're home and host. They're going to be brought back here. Maxim Shatskik.
Well, the ref hasn't missed much this evening. Although Alexander Gainrich reckons he missed that one, but he didn't. Unless, of course, Gainrich is suggesting that the first foul 5 yards up should have been paid, and that it wasn't, meant that Gainrich could then square the ledger. The referee said no. Golden chance for Uzbekistan. Timur Kapadze heavily bandaged. Troubled at both ends of the anatomy. Timur Kapadze. Iron Man. A rolled ankle and now a bung head.
And they're calling for more tape on the Uzbekistan bench. Meantime, Ibrahim Majid. Awkward one for Nesterov, who's been almost a spectator in the second half. One moment of worry aside when he was under pressure from Sebastian Soria. Here's Khalfan Ibrahim. too easily shrugged off the ball. That's perhaps his weakness. He's a little bit lightweight, particularly against the physical Uzbekistanis who are away here. A chance for Tursunov. Oh, and Kasim Burhan was really inviting him to shoot towards the other end of the goal. But Tursunov could not oblige.
Well, I can't for the life of me work out why Tursunov doesn't go for that far space. He hasn't set that opportunity up well at all. His run onto the ball when he looked to strike it was too straight. He needed to open up and fire across the Qatar keeper.
Well, for all Qatar's struggles, somehow they're still in this game. Will Uzbekistan pay for their profligacy? They want the cushion of a second goal. Maybe it'll come here. Side netting from Japarov.
Poor corner from the Uzbekistan captain. With a case of the walking wounded at the moment. Hyderov is hobbling around in the centre circle for Uzbekistan. His partner in crime in the centre of midfield, Timur Kapadze, got a heavily bandaged cranium.
Here he is on the ball. You fancy he's going to have a bit of a shiner tomorrow. Japarov now playing his football in South Korea for FC Seoul. Or at least he was until the end of the K-League season. If only they could convert more of their opportunities. Here's Japarov. Didn't end up going to London because of his Asian Champions League commitments with his then club Paktahor.
Pitted him again. United in Australia. No.
Of an hour, touch over 37,000, almost a full house. Most of them are going to leave disappointed unless Qatar can find some inspiration in the final quarter of an hour. And you have to say, Andy, it's
to survive and then sting. But the substitutions, this has been a really interesting battle off the bench. Bruno Metsu, as far as I can see.
Now they're giving the ball away here, and Japarov finishes the game off. A horrible mistake by the Qataris. And Japarov not only finishes in style, but he celebrates in style too. Game over.
Oh, that's a crowd killer. And you can't win a tournament in game one, but you can lose a tournament in game one. And as high as Uzbekistan are flying at the moment, that second goal really hurts. It's so sloppy at international level when you've worked so hard and you've dodged a couple. Really, you should have been chasing a deeper scoreboard than you have, but you're still in the game. But an error like that is catastrophic.
Thousands starting to stream for the exits. They believe their team is beaten. Not the start the hosts wanted. The eyes of Asia Perhaps even the eyes of the world itself on Qatar tonight, with their FIFA World Cup hosting confirmed only last month. Their team, it seems, still has a fair way to go, unless they can find a miracle. Here's Fabio Cesar trying to start the journey.
Well, I think, Simon, I'll stand corrected. I think that's the first time you've called Fabio's name in the second half. We're 77 minutes in. If you have called it, it's been only once. And this is before the capitulation at the back. This gets to the way Qatar have set up and what Bruno Metsu did to change the game. And apart from changing personnel, not much else changed. The flip side of that coin is the work that Vadim Abramov did off his bench. Tursunov has been excellent down the right-hand side. He's really consolidated the momentum Uzbekistan's way with that substitution. And they got the second goal, even though it was from an error, but it's a goal they've deserved. There's at least that difference between the football teams on this evidence.
And the Qatari spectators continue to vote with their feet as we have a look again. It's the horrible error by the substitute Khalfan Ibrahim. What on earth was he thinking?
Well, that might be why he doesn't start more football matches, but that's not his part of the field. What he's doing down at left fullback is the first line of inquiry.
I would say the stadium is now no more than half full, Andy. And leaving in their droves. They'll be filthy if they miss a Qatari comeback.
Well, I think they've sensed that that's a long odds option. As so often has been the case, Sebastian looking to do it himself. Conceding a foul quite clearly. Fabio now makes way. Yusuf Ahmed into the fray.
Well, Yusuf Ahmed was the erstwhile captain of the Qatari national team before he picked up a rather nasty wrist injury against Iran in the recent friendly, which meant that he sat on the bench tonight. He's a striker who's scored plenty of goals at international level. Indeed, he's his nation's record goal scorer, and that's what Qatar need, and quick. Can they get one here? Yusuf Ahmed with a chance to cover his name in glory. Now Lawrence maybe should have shot. Khalfan Ibrahim does. And Uzbekistan stand firm once more. Just the briefest of openings. And that would have made for a grandstand finish.
Well, he showed tremendous athleticism. Mohamed El Sayed bursting down the left-hand side into the danger zone. Importantly, carrying the ball into the penalty area, making defenders have to think very carefully before they act. But they scrambled well. Look at the numbers there in white. Adjusting as a pack, moving towards the ball, squeezing the angle, forcing the error. Good recovery, defensive work from Uzbekistan. A good attack from Qatar. Here comes another one, perhaps.
Well, finally, that tactical switch that you were talking about has arrived from Bruno Metsu. El Sayed switched to the left, and it almost paid immediate dividends. Here's Lawrence to have a crack from long range. Not quite Michael Essien.
Yeah, well, why not? He's been pretty quiet in the second half too, and that's been a function of Uzbekistan's dominance.
The Uzbekistan captain server Japarov has got through a fair amount of work tonight. Scored his 14th international goal, and it should be enough for Vadim Abramov's side.
Now that has gone as a foul against Tursunov. I can't see how or why. I have very few complaints otherwise with the Japanese official. I think he's been outstanding, but right to ask why on that occasion, Uzbekistan. Minor detail, they've got a good healthy lead.
The only cloud really for Uzbekistan is the injuries they've suffered this evening, which may come back to haunt them. As for Qatar, looks as though they're going to have to build for their next group game against the Chinese. A game surely now they must win, or at least not lose, if they're to remain in contention. This is Shat's kick. Square for Timur Kapadze. Shat's kick onside. Good football again. Japarov. And again it's Bilal Mohammed, who's been the last line of defence on far too many occasions this evening for the Qataris.
Well, haven't they needed the captain, Qatar? Yeah, it's an instinctive header down from Shat's kick. Wasn't a great shot from server Japarov, but Bilal was there nevertheless. And you're right about the next game against China. A single goal defeat.
And that'll be enough to end their interest. As for Uzbekistan, they're looking to put a cherry on the top of the cake here. Tursunov.
I was going to say a single goal defeat opening game is manageable. Once you start conceding more than that, the following two games become very, very difficult because of goal difference. And how many teams at the last World Cup fell on the sword of game one capitulation?
Australia to name but one. The Aussies, of course, in action on Monday against India. Judging by the roar that went up at this stadium, Andy, when the name India was part of the opening ceremony, it may well feel like playing in India for the Socceroos.
Well, it's a good time to play India. For that reason, I'm anticipating a full house now after experiencing and exactly what you did, Simon. It was huge. They do make up 20% of the Qatari population. Indian foreign nationals, labourers. So they'll be filling that ground. It'll be a spectacular atmosphere.
As it has been tonight. The bad news for the Indians is that they're the lowest ranked team at this tournament. The second lowest ranked is Qatar. 114 in the world, and to be fair, Andy, at times it's looked like it this evening. Unless they can make a late comeback. Here's Yusuf Ahmed, who at last calls Nesterov into action.
Yeah, good action. And just back to that point, 2-goal deficit is a very painful one going into the next game. 2-1, you're very much still alive. Now it's how you push for that goal, reduce the deficit without exposing your defensive area problematically. And they're a wily mob, this Uzbek football team. You give them too much space on the counter and they'll hit you for a third.
They're hunting in packs at the moment, the White Wolves. Japarov has no option wide right, so they go left instead. It has been a thoroughly professional performance from Uzbekistan. Gainrich is offside though.
And none too happy that the ball wasn't delivered as and when he wanted it. Nestorov, who's as good a goalkeeper as they will find in the tournament. Very comfortable hit. And here's another chance for Uzbekistan.
Timur Kapadze leading the charge. Gainrich goes for goal. Ibrahim Al-Ghanem blocks with the back. And it's a tired-looking Qatar who try and launch the counter through Ibrahim Majid. They look a pretty sorry mob at the moment. Al-Nabi, the possession stats don't lie. Neither does the score sheet. that began with such optimism and excitement, Andy, is on the brink of ending in bitter disappointment for the host nation.
It's a big test for the host now, because if the supporters drop their bundle completely, it's not going to be a great look. Now, they wouldn't be the first home supporters to drop a bundle if the team struggles, but there's a lot to play for now off the field for Qatar. And there needs to be a clarion call around Doha to stick with the team.
Well, they haven't even stuck around for the final whistle, quite a lot of them.
It may be a plaintive cry of mine, but I think it's really important that the message gets out, because you've said it 2 or 3 times, the world is definitely watching.
No question. This is going to be the final substitution of the night as we watch a repeat of Ismailov's header. And Alexander Gainrich, who's probably got to be close to the Man of the Match award this evening. It's going to be replaced for the final few minutes by Olim Navkarov. Plays for Zhizhilkum Zarafshon back in Uzbekistan as Qatar again try and press for what would be a crucial goal. This is Mohamed El Sayed, pinches the ball away from Kapadze. Wissam Rezek, can they find a goal, the hosts? And again they fail at the crucial moment.
Well, look at that defending from Mohamed Bilal. That was tidy, it was strong, it was composed. Dispossessed Uzbekistan on the counter-attack, and now Qatar have some settled possession. He's been outstanding. You talk about Gainrich as a potential man of the match. It's a very reasonable shout.
Mohamed El Sayed drops the shoulder, can't find the delivery.
But Mohamed Bilal, the captain of Qatar, has been excellent in a well-beaten team. And just quietly, Mohamed El Sayed, the last 2 or 3 efforts down this left-hand side as he cuts in onto his right foot, has looked like an outlet with real potential for Qatar.
Yep, agreed.
So there are some building blocks that the hosts can take into Game 2 against China. They'll find that a different contest physically altogether. They're a big bunch of footballers, the Chinese national team.
The Uzbekis are no shrinking violets, in fairness, in the physical state.
No, they've got 2 or 3 sizable guys, you're right, Simon, but from 1 to 11 almost, China, they're a big physical team.
But also a young team, a team in transition, so...
Yeah, true enough.
Maybe a glimmer of hope. That's what Qatar will be clinging on to tonight. It's been a bitterly disappointing evening. Four minutes of added time. Ahmed Ismail shows too much of it to Stanislav Andreev. Uzbekistan again allowed to advance with ease. Server Japarov. That is until he came up against